Okay, guys, one of the most popular topics for my poll to review was the difference between vectors and scalars. So here I have written those variables that are vectors. So over here, and over here I have those variables that are scalars. Okay, so when we're talking about a vector, it means that it's a quantity or a variable that has magnitude, meaning a number attached to it or how big it is, right? So it's got a number, like a magnitude, but it also has a direction. So for example, when we're talking about forces, we would say, you know how we're always using a frame of reference, right? And we always say like, okay, well, the net force is going to be going this way. And then you'll have an angle, but then you also have a number associated with it. Okay. So there's the magnitude, and this angle would be the direction. Okay. So that's forces. When we use moments or moments of force, so let's say if we're going to have, I don't know, let's say this is my elbow. Okay, I know this is kind of weird, but, you know, I'm holding a dumbbell. And let's say the dumbbell is super, super heavy, right? This dumbbell is like, I don't know, what do you like? Like, let's say, I don't know, 500 newtons, okay? And let's say we have like some teensy tiny biceps, so it's really not able to hold that weight. What's going to happen with this lever here? It's going to start rotating in the clockwise direction. Okay, so as you can see, it has a direction. So even though it's rotational, it will tell you, okay, it's in the clockwise or counterclockwise right direction. So that's the direction right here. And then you also have to give an actual magnitude, which is 500 newtons. Okay. Oops. When we're talking about velocity, same thing. Remember from the video I gave you guys in class? So it's not the same thing to say that your speed is 50 kilometers per hour. This is speed. Okay, which is right there. That's a scalar. But if we're going to say 50 kilometers per hour, due west. Oh, wait, due west. Then you have a direction. Okay, so we got magnitude. And we have direction. Right? Whereas here, we only have magnitude alone. When we're talking about acceleration, it's the same thing. So we always want to know whether we are speeding up or slowing down. And to calculate acceleration, we will use velocity. And if we have acceleration, remember, is the change in velocity over time, right? For example, here, right? If we have a final velocity, so let's say we're going at a velocity of 6 meters per second, and then we go eventually at a velocity of 8 meters per second, and that happened within 0.5 seconds. So then during this time, we know that we're going to have to have sped up, right? So because we were going slower and now we're going faster. So that means your acceleration will be positive, because then we know that we'll be speeding up. Whereas if you're going first at 8 meters per second and then at 6 meters per second, within this period of time, you must have slowed down. in which case we would have an acceleration of minus 4 meters per second. So the magnitude is the same, but the direction is opposite. Here you speed up, here you slow down. Similarly, when we're talking about displacement, if we go from point A to point B, then, and let's say this is 5 meters, that means that we would have had a displacement of 5 meters. But if we came from B, now we go from B to A, that displacement would be negative, so would be minus 5 meters per second. Again, same magnitude, different signs. And if you go from point A to point B and then back and then end up here, then your displacement will be 0 meters. And I mean, this is very different from distance, which is an actual length. So distance, doesn't matter if you go from A to B or B to A, it will always be 5 meters. And you don't care whether if it's positive or negative. Same thing with mass. Mass, we've said like a million times in class, it's nothing else more than the amount of matter in a body. So when you're talking about the amount of something, you're only talking about how much, like how many kilos is that, okay? Same thing with time, it has no direction, and then speed has no direction as well. I hope this helps.